Remember, all fractions can be written as decimals, okay? Now, the opposite is not true. Not all decimals can be written as fractions. Can anybody give me an example? What's an example of a decimal that you just cannot write as a fraction?
0.1.
How about this one? Pi. Now, we know it's 0.14, right? But it keeps going. I think it's 159 something. That decimal never ends, and you cannot write that as a fraction, okay? But we're not talking about that. We're going from a fraction to a decimal. Every fraction can be written as a decimal, okay? And we're just going to do a couple examples. I think this is probably a review for most of you. Does anybody know how to set this up? So it says step 1, set up the division bar. Where does the 3 and the 5 go? I'm going to go ahead and put my bar here.
The 3 on the inside, 5 on the outside. Hey, raise your hand.
Y'all agree?
Yes.
The 3 does go on the inside. The numerator goes on the inside. The denominator, listen up, goes on the outside. It has nothing to do with bigger or smaller, okay? You can put a bigger number on the outside, right? There's just a trick you have to do to make it work. So that's what we're going to talk about. And I'm going to go ahead and just, for step 2, I'm going to go ahead and divide. So if 5 doesn't go into 3, somebody raise their hand and tell me what to do. Yes? Okay, once you put the 0 there, you then put a decimal here, okay? So again, everybody needs to be copying this down because I know not everybody's going to remember to do this when I give you the worksheet. So now that I've put the decimal down, I can then say, okay, how many times does 5 go into 30? 6 times. Then I'm going to take the 6, I'm going to multiply it back to the 5, get 30, subtract it. Once you get 0, you're done, and whatever you have on the top is going to be the answer for the decimal conversion. So final answer, 3/5, is equal to 0.6. And you guys are right, it's simple. I mean, all you're really doing is dividing. Whatever you get is the answer. Might be a decimal, might be a whole number, might be a whole number mixed with a decimal, like 10.7 or something.
Is there a way to do that on a calculator?
So a calculator would just do it, right? Like if you plug that into a calculator, it would just give you 0.6 back. See what I'm saying? You just type in 3/5. Yes.
I do have trouble with conversions.
Number 2, 11/3, so the denominator goes on the outside of the bar and the numerator goes on the inside. How many times does 3 go into 11? 3. So we don't have to put a decimal there this time because it goes into it evenly, right? 3 times 3 equals, not plus, 9. Yeah, make sure you multiply and then subtract, which is 2. Now, this one's a little different because,
Now we put the decimal and 3 down to 0, right?
well, the order is different. Yeah, since 3 doesn't go into 2, you put the 0, and then, yes, you put the decimal there. Now, how many times does 3 go into 20? 6. Okay, then we're going to do 6 times 3, which is 18.
It's going to be 3.66 with a bar on it.
Right, so you guys can already see that there's going to be a pattern here. I'm going to keep getting 2 and 0 back, no matter what I do. I'm going to get 18 again, right, if I subtract. So, right, so if I just keep getting 6 back, then I really don't have to write the 6 again. I can just put a bar there, which means the 6 is going to go on forever. So that means that 11/3 as a decimal is just equal to 3.6 repeating. Simple. You could write it as a mixed number, right? Just like we just talked about. Didn't mean to do that. But you can kind of see that the mixed number makes sense. It would be 3 2/3, which is the same as 3.6 repeating. This one's more difficult. It's going to take us a little bit. When you divide by 7, it ends up being a long repeating decimal. Okay, so this is going to be outside the fraction bar. Top is going to be inside. How many times does 7 go into 17? Good, 2. 2 times 7 is? Subtract. You get 3. Okay, at this point,
Have to put the decimal.
yep, 7 doesn't go into 3, so we have to put a 0 there, which means put a decimal there. 7 goes into 34 times. Whoops. 4 times 7 is 28. Subtract 2. 7 doesn't go into 2, so we're going to have to add a 0. Now, you don't have to put another decimal. Once you put it there, you're done. Yeah, only the first time. So how many times does 7 go into 20? Twice. 2 times 7 is 14. Subtract, that's a 6. 7 doesn't go into 6, so we need another 0. How many times does 7 go into 60? Good. Okay, 8 times 7 is 56.
How far do we have to keep going?
You'll see. Until it
You want
repeats.
it all the way, because most teachers only went like three.
Until it repeats. Okay? 60 minus 56 is 4. 7 doesn't go into 4, so we need to pull that down. 7 goes into 40 5 times. 5 times 7 is 35. Subtract, we get 5. 7 doesn't go into 5, so we need another 0. How many times does it go into 50? 7. 7 times 7 is 49. Subtract, we get 1. Carry the 0. How many times does 7 go into 10? Once. 1 times 7 is 7. Subtract that, that's 3, which is 30. Now we get back to the 4. Okay? Now you could keep doing it. I already did this problem at home. You're going to then get after the 4, you're going to get a 2. Well, it makes sense because if you get the 4, then obviously it's going to repeat, right? Because the same process like we had right up there. You end at the repeating number, and so basically what you're going to do is you're just going to put the bar across all those numbers. And so 17 over 7 is just that fraction. It's equal to, and I got to go back up just to make sure, 2.428 571. Repeating. So it's definitely possible. Now the last two, are especially the next one, you're going to see something like you would in woodchop. Sometimes you would take a fraction and convert it to a decimal, but for example, 1/8 of an inch, something that's pretty common. So 8 goes on the outside of the bar, 1 goes on the inside because it's the numerator. How many times does 8 go into 1? Doesn't, so you got to put a 0 and a decimal. Now you can put a 2. 2 times 8 equals. Oh, what? That's my mistake. I just noticed I did something really bad. 8 goes into 10 once. 1 times 8 is 8. Subtract and you get 2. You gotta pull a 0 because 8 doesn't go into 2. 8 goes into 20 2 times. 2 times 8 is 16. 4. 8 doesn't go into 4, so you need a 0. Now, 8 goes into 40 5 times evenly, and we're done. So 1/8 as a decimal is equal to 0.125. One more example. 13 over 27. Okay, so the 27 goes outside and the 13 on the inside. Remember, denominator on the outside, numerator on the inside. 27 is not going to 13 evenly, so we're going to put a 0 there. This one's a little harder. How many times does 27 go into 130? I think 5, right? Nope, not 5, 4. 4 times 27 is 108. I messed up again. I should put the 4 there. Okay. 4 times 27 is 108. 130 minus 108, 22. 27 does not go into 22, so got to put a 0 there. Somebody know how many times 27 goes into 220? And I forgot to put my decimal there when I put the first 0. Right, so it's going to be 0.4. Is it 8? You sure? Okay. What's 8 times 27? 216. Subtract, and we get 4. 27 doesn't go into 4, so I got to put a 0 there. How many times does 27 go into 40? Once. 1 times 27 is 27. Subtract, we get 3. 0. How many times does 27 go into 30? Once. 1 times 27 is 27. We're starting to notice the pattern, right? It's just going to keep doing that. So this one would just be 0.481, and then once we get to the 1 will repeat. Is that what you got when you did your calculator? I see the mistake I made. 40 minus 27 is 13. It's not 3. Let's try this again. Glad I checked. Okay, so 40 minus 27 is 13. So there's not going to be a bar there. How many times does 27 go into 13? Got to put a 0. Okay, how many times 27 go into 130? Four again, right? So that's where we see it repeat, at the 4. Again, we notice if we get the same thing again, if we get 130 again, then we're going to repeat, right? And we're going to get the same decimals back. So just put the bar right here, and then we can erase that last 4 because we know it's going to repeat. So final answer, 13 over 27 is equal to 0.481 repeating.